After a 7-month process of due diligence, Andretti Cadillac got the green light from the FIA for a massive Formula One entry. This makes Andretti the only one of the 7 entities to throw its hat into the ring to F1's governing body. And General Motors has devoted itself to building a Cadillac-badged Formula One engine as early as 2028, exclusively for him. Let's unwrap all the Andretti Cadillac gigantic new strategies. Andretti's entrance into Formula One as an independent 11th team has just received a massive boost, and GM is all set to power Andretti's futuristic hopes of being competitive in the sport. General Motors said it has registered with Formula One's governing body to become an engine supplier starting in 2028, which is seen as a huge boost to Michael Andretti's bid to join the global motorsport series. We are thrilled that our new Andretti Cadillac F1 entry will be powered by a GM unit, GM President Mark Ruiz said. With our deep engineering and racing expertise, we're confident we'll develop a successful power unit for the series and position Andretti Cadillac as a true works team. We will run with the very best at the highest levels, with passion and integrity that will help elevate the sport for race fans around the world. The announcement comes ahead of this week's Las Vegas Grand Prix, where 3 senior GM executives plan to be in attendance to help push Andretti's global bid forward with F1. In January, GM announced its partnership with Andretti Global under its Cadillac banner on Andretti's application to join F1. GM doesn't have its own F1 power unit and said its effort would be in conjunction with an existing manufacturer. That is not the end of the story, however. After the go-ahead by the FIA, Andretti now also needs to reach a deal with FOM, F1's commercial rights holder owned by Liberty Media, to be accepted. This is proving to be a much bigger hurdle than going through the FIA's initial application process. FOM is also having to look after the interests of F1's existing 10 teams, many of which are vehemently against Andretti joining the grid at the current terms. If Andretti were to join as an 11th expansion team, it would mean the current prize pool divided by the teams, over $1 billion, would have to be shared with an extra party, and therefore the current teams would see their slice of the pie shrink. F1's Concord Agreement, the 3-way commercial contract that the FIA, F1, and its teams operate under, has catered for a $200 million anti-dilution fee, an amount that a new entrant would have to pay upfront to join the F1. That money will then be distributed among the existing teams to make up for their loss of revenue by having to share their income with another party. However, most teams feel this fee is way too low. It was conceived during a period when many F1 teams were struggling to stay afloat, while F1's popularity boom and its budget cap have now made their values soar. Teams, therefore, want to see this figure at least tripled, not only to offset the revenue shared with Andretti, but also to protect their overall value. Andretti is confident that through raising sponsorship and marketing spending from his partner Cadillac, his team will actually bring in additional revenue to the point where the existing teams won't lose any income. It is now up to Andretti and the GM brand to convince FOM that it will grow the pie rather than slice it into more pieces. With F1 keen to attract more OEMs to build their own power units, it remains to be seen if GM and Cadillac will treat F1 as more than just a branding exercise. Andretti had a provisional deal in place with Renault to supply engines, an agreement which has since lapsed but could be revisited. Now, GM has decided to build its own engine. If Andretti gets approved to join the expanded F1 grid, he would have to use another manufacturer's engine until 2028. F1, which participated in Ford's announcement that it was returning to F1 in 2026, declined to comment on GM's engine registration, citing the ongoing review of Andretti's application. F1 and parent company Liberty Media have remained largely silent on the Andretti effort, but have previously rebuked the need for an 11th team. GM has already started the development and testing of prototype technology, and it said building an F1 engine will help the automaker advance in areas including electrification, hybrid technology, sustainable fuels, high-efficiency internal combustion engines, advanced controls, and software systems. F1 in 2026 has set new engine regulations that place an emphasis on sustainable fuels and greater electric power. 6 manufacturers have signed with the FIA to supply engines in 2026, including newcomer Audi, which will partner with Sauber. Ford has also got plans to return to F1 in the partnership with 3-time reigning champion Red Bull. Honda also plans to return as an official supplier in 2026. The plan had been for Andretti to use an existing engine manufacturer in collaboration with GM. But F1 does not seem impressed with the Andretti application. The Associated Press reported in October that F1 asked GM to find another team to partner with instead of Andretti Global. GM then told AP it would only team with Andretti. Even so, one of the arguments against the Andretti application has been that GM would be nothing more than a glorified sponsor with a Cadillac badged engine. The registration to become a power unit supplier strengthens GM's positioning, but Andretti needs a decision from F1 very soon to be ready to compete in 2025. Although he had a deal with Renault to supply his initial engines, it is believed that the contract has expired. Andretti has promised to field a true American team and said he wants California native and current IndyCar driver Colton Herta to drive for Andretti Global. Mario Andretti, his father, won the 1978 F1 championship, and Michael ran 13 F1 races in 1993. The father and son are among the most successful racers in American open-wheel history and rank 3rd and 4th in the IndyCar all-time win list. California businessman Gene Haas owns an F1 team that he got via a 2014 application similar to the process Andretti went through this year. Haas launched in 2016 and plans to use Kevin Magnussen of Denmark and Nico Hülkenberg of Germany next season. Haas is ranked last among the 10 teams in the constructors' standings, while Hülkenberg is 16th and Magnussen is 19th in the driver standings. We are thrilled that our new Andretti Cadillac F1 entry will be powered by a GM unit, said GM President Mark Rius in a statement issued ahead of this weekend's Las Vegas Grand Prix, one of the 3 races in the US. With our deep engineering and racing expertise, we're confident we'll develop a successful power unit for the series and position Andretti Cadillac as a true works team. We will run with the very best at the very highest levels with passion and integrity that will help elevate the sport for race fans around the world. The move will add to the pressure on Liberty Media-owned Formula One management, whose head, Stefano Domenicali, has said the decision to expand has to be right for the business. FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who told the media that he wanted more teams, welcomed the development, delighted with the news that GM has registered as a PU supplier for FIA F1. This is a further endorsement in the FIA's PU regulations. The presence of iconic American brands, Andretti and GM, is good for the sport, he said on Twitter. Most of the existing teams are opposed to an 11th diluting their share of the profits, but have no ultimate say in the decision. They argue that a $200 million compensation payment to be shared among them is not enough, given that the teams are valued at more than $1 billion. At the moment, it is 25, it could be 26, we'll see. Andretti said at the US Grand Prix in Austin. Andretti had an agreement with Alpine for an engine for the initial seasons, but Bruno Famin, the new boss of the Renault-owned team, said the deal had recently lapsed. Technically, the agreement went out, but once we get our approval, then that'll be fixed, said Andretti. We're not worried about that. While many are still reluctant to accept Andretti as an equal partner of the sport, something that is yet to happen with the company still having to convince the marketing side of the sport that they would be much rather a boost than a burden for the sport, this move has put Andretti in a stronger position, as it has helped the sport bring back its old roots, more independent teams with more independent engine manufacturers. And that's all for today. If this move that Andretti has been waiting for so long, and if so, what are your thoughts? Why are the other teams so scared of it actually becoming a reality? Do share the video with your F1 buddies. Don't forget to like and subscribe.